up, family? It's your boy, Dr. J.C. Howard, and this is Voice of the Culture TV. Shout out to House of Hope Macon Church and shout out to Hope Nation. We're streaming this live on all of our Hope Nation and House of Hope Macon platforms. But this is Voice of the Culture TV, and I am the voice of the culture. And y'all know that we talk about different things, a variety of different topics every single week. But this week, we are knocking on the door. This Sunday will officially be Father's Day. Father's Day is right around the corner in just a few days. And so I wanted to do a Father's Day focus today. Because in a very real sense, family, check this out. All of the deadbeat dads get all of the press. They're the ones that get all of the press. All of the fathers who are absent, the fathers who aren't active in their children's lives, those are the ones who seem to get the most press. Now, it might be negative press, but it's still press nonetheless. And we never really take time to appreciate the fathers, to really love on fathers. You know, the restaurants are packed on Mother's Day, but you can get a seat anywhere you want to go on Father's Day. You can't find flowers on Mother's Day, but you can find a whole bunch of neckties and socks and stuff going to the fathers on Father's Day. And so it's about time that we take time to appreciate fathers, to love on fathers, especially our brothers, our African-American fathers, our Black fathers who are in the home, who love their wives, who love their partners, their spouses, who love their children and appreciate every step of the journey. And today, I got my main man with me. Not only is he a ministry leader at the House of Hope Macon Church, he leads our fitness ministry, Hope Fit, but this brother is not just a member or a partner in our ministry, but he has become a beloved friend. He has helped me with my exercising and getting my routines ready, especially while we were on the pandemic. It's none other than my main man, the fitness extraordinaire himself, Rashad Abad. What's up, family?
Hey, what's going on, Pastor? How you doing, man? Thank you for having me.
I'm great,
totally
man.
Thank you. Here.
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining me. I had Rashad's lovely wife with us way back when I did the first Voice of the Culture TV episode months ago. I had her back. I had her on the show because she was talking about her new book that is in stores right now. You can go to Google, Amazon right now. Dear Black Girl, which is a phenomenal book of not just for young African-American sisters, but for young women, period. It's an absolutely phenomenal book. She's been doing camps and retreats, and she's just killing the game right now. And in her interview, she said the reason why she was able to accomplish this achievement was because of her husband. That's what she said, and I really appreciated that. This is her husband who we're with today, and I appreciated her sharing that because Rashad, Kim explained how you just believed in her and how you really pushed her during the pandemic to take a leap of faith, to go on, to produce this content, to write this book, and it's been doing numbers ever since. She's been getting so many open doors and opportunities ever since. And I really appreciate that about you. And I appreciate that about y'all's relationship, man. And so tell us a little bit about you and the family, man, how long you and Kim been married, your wonderful children, and what you're doing right now.
Oh, man. Thank you. Once again, Pastor, thank you for having me. Thank you for just noticing and recognizing the relationship we have. It's pretty effortless, you know, when you find that person that I believe the Lord especially made for me. When he made her, he broke that conveyor belt. No more can be made like her. And I always told the Lord that if he allowed me to meet my soulmate, the one I'm supposed to be with, I was going to be all in 100%. No slip ups, no mess ups, no anything. Just be focused on making her happy, being the best father, being the best husband, best friend, best confidant, all that. But the crazy thing about it, Kim and I actually went to Auburn State together.
Right.
Never met, never saw each other. I saw her on posters because she was very socially interactive. She was on courts and student council, P3s, everything. Just she's just everywhere. And
sounds like her.
Yeah. It's obviously true because she's the exact same way now.
Right.
But to fast forward, we met at House of Hope Atlanta And we actually didn't meet there. I saw her for the first time, and I noticed her because all the flyers at Auburn State, when they put up SGA and those student councils up. Right. I said, well, she's cute. So when I saw her in church, I noticed her. She didn't think I noticed her, but I saw her. And I was like, that looked like that girl from Albany State. I could never remember her name, but my frat brother told me her name, and she was just beautiful as ever. It's kind of like one of those sappy love stories, love at first sight. I just saw her, couldn't stop thinking about her. I jumped into her DM, and we just talked about life, talked about God, talked about her traveling. I'm a little country boy. I was uncultured, unlearned. I wasn't, dumb or anything. Just didn't travel much. Mm-hmm. And when we started talking, I started to grow instantly. Wow. She was informing me of everything that I had not ventured out to do or learn about. And since then, it's just been just a blessed journey. I've been growing ever since. I've been definitely getting better. I think she made me a better man. Wow. I was already a good man. I was already complete, but she enhanced me just with the things that she helped me develop as far as like my skill set, just learning about life, learning about travel, learning about culture. And we always agreed upon having at least 2 kids. And that's one thing about finding a soulmate. Like everything is just going to fall into place. We already had the same mindset, same sense of humor. We have fun. It was never about anything other than that friendship and that relationship. You get that down pat, everything else just kind of flows. So right. We got engaged less than a year. We got married less than a year, had children less than a year. Wow. And it's been no stress, no strife, no pain, no worry, nothing. It's just been smooth. And nobody's life is marriage is perfect. And I'm not saying that at all, but at the end of the day, if we have a spat over who put dirty clothes in a clean clothes hamper, and that's as worse as it gets, then hey, that's what we got going on. So, but I'm truly blessed. I'm truly thankful that Kim is in my life. I'm thankful for our daughters. They're both 2 very special, beautiful, bright young ladies, and we're just happy to be on this journey together to raise our children.
Yeah, man. So I'm going to jump right in because one of my first questions, obviously you already answered, was that if you always wanted to be a father and why. But it's obvious that when you 2 got together and you had these kind of just in-depth conversations, and when y'all decided to, of course, make it official, y'all got engaged in less than a year, got married in less than a year, and then even had children, your first daughter, your first child in less than a year. That is just, it's really amazing. And it's really, kind of, for some people, they would think that that's a little bit fast, but, but every relationship is at its own pace. And that's what people need to understand, that what's fast for somebody else might be slow for somebody. Right. And so, every relationship is at its own pace, but you decided that, okay, we're going to have 2 children. And now you have 2 wonderful, beautiful girls. You're a girl dad. You're a girl dad. You're a girl dad. House full of girls, man. And
so all around.
You carry it well, brother. You carry it well. So my question to you is, you decided you all were going to have 2 children. When your first daughter was born, what was that feeling like? This is a Father's Day focus. And so what was that feeling that came over you the first time that you laid eyes on your first baby girl?
It was all inspiring. It was amazing to see a life being born, because you hear already horror stories about, man, you going at when you first see your child born and you just see the blood and all this other stuff, you're gonna pass out. And it wasn't that way for me. I was so amazed at how life was coming to fruition. There's a living being inside of another human that you have no idea how they're able to breathe without the lungs and it's the tube. And I mean, it's just, science has a way of explaining how it occurs, but just seeing that life come out of a woman, just the whole process is amazing, is beautiful. You have a, I had a newfound respect for women and
Right.
what they go through for 9 months personally. I'm there every step of the way, you know, hand and foot. And then when they actually have to go through birth, it's like, oh my God, like you are like the strongest person ever. Like no matter what I thought I went through before,
Right.
what she just showed me was like, I should be able to take on anything, no problem, stomp it out the way, jump over it, whatever I got to do to get over that hurdle. But seeing my daughter born for the first time definitely changed me in a way that I'm going to lay down my life for this life that just came into our lives. Because I mean, they're so precious, and it's like if a guy had no heart, no feelings, no emotions, if you see your baby born for the first time, it's gonna bring it out of you. I don't care what it is. I was done, but I was instantly fortified with strength. I was like, okay, she's here now. She's the most precious, beautiful thing I've seen in my life. I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect her and shield her and provide and do everything along with my wife. You know, and that was the exact same way when our second daughter came. So it's just been an amazing journey.
Yeah.
But it changed me because it made me want to go back and just fill in the gaps wherever I felt like I was being irresponsible or not totally dependent. Not saying I was, but I was just going to be on my A game because now I have not only my wife, but I have another helpless life that is going to depend on me for protection, provision, guidance, everything. So you just can't be a poor representation of anything when you have these two lives looking at you for direction. So
yeah, man, made you sharpen up even more. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
you have
definitely.
somebody who's just depending on you hand and foot, and it's just it's a beautiful thing, man. I agree with you, man. It's just it's a joy and it's a beautiful thing. Now, obviously, you always had you know, affinity for children, or you work with children in your profession, you know, by profession, by trade. You're an educator, which I'm always inspired by. You're an educator, and you teach different kinds of courses, particularly physical education, along with health and some other courses. And so you work with children by trade professionally. So it's obvious you and your wife are both in education. And so obviously you have an affinity for young people and for children. Now, and so it's easy for you. I mean, it's easy to see how, you know, you can have a desire to want children of your own because you seem to already have a passion for children. Now, when your daughters were born, your daughters had some slight health issues, some slight health challenges, and they've had to endure, you know, a lot of doctor visits and even a few surgeries in order to kind of rectify some of the health issues that they had, which certainly aren't debilitating at all, but they are health issues nonetheless. So I want you to speak to that because there are some parents and fathers out there alike mothers and fathers alike who also have to deal with those challenges. And, you know, some people who have children who aren't born necessarily with health challenges, of course, children are going to go through health issues later on in life at some point, but aren't born at a young age with some kind of new serious health challenges. And there are those parents that are out there and they look for, you know, those support systems. And so can you kind of tell us about that story a little bit and how it's affected you as a father, what it's done for you in that process of caring for your little girls who have been so strong and have come through some of those health challenges. Can you kind of go through that a little bit?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Karis, which is my oldest daughter, she's 4 now, by the grace of God. She's beautiful, she's healthy, she's smart, already reading on like second grade level. So she's doing very well. But the health issue you're referring to, for those who don't know, Karis is a type 1 diabetic. It is a autoimmune instance where your insulin starts rejecting, where your body starts rejecting its own cells to prohibit the pancreas from creating insulin. So her body creates it, but her immune system is killing it off so much so to there's virtually none in her system. So she has to have exogenous insulin, which is basically insulin that's not from her body.
Right.
And her body uses it as if it was her own. So for the rest of her life, she's insulin dependent. And she was diagnosed when shortly after she turned 1. And along with seeing my daughter born and it just bringing tears and just it just did something to me to help strengthen and fortify and guide me as a dad, as a father.
Yeah,
it's a totally different thing, like to see a life being born, but it's no more than like a year later, also see that same firstborn child who has not had a chance at life be on her deathbed.
Wow.
She got so sick, she lost a lot of weight, she stopped eating, she stopped drinking, and we were treating the symptom, she went to her pediatrician, she went to doctors, urgent cares, emergency room, and her emergency room was the last stop before we found out she was type 1 diabetic, but none of the doctors knew to test her blood because that's so uncommon to do in a 1-year-old.
Rare.
And she's healthy. All her charts are healthy. She's above the growth curve and all that. And it just out of nowhere, she just started to slow down. She started to become disoriented. She started to become off balance. Her homeostasis was off. She just seemed like I said, just stopped eating, stopped drinking, and started rejecting food. And she became very, very weak. She started to lose weight. So we were treating the symptoms. She had stomach bugs. She had real bad diaper rashes. She had thrush real bad. And these are all typical symptoms, but they kept coming back and kept getting worse. So around the 7th or 8th day, this was happening. She just totally got weak. We had to carry her everywhere. Okay, we were like, oh, something is going on. And my wife was like, the night before we took her, or early that morning before we took her to the emergency care, she didn't want to say it, comfortably, but it was like, Rashad, it seems like our daughter is like dying. She's like not doing anything, and she's got to the point where she's just still now. She's blinking her eyes. She's always moaning. So we took her to the emergency room after she threw up the last bottle of milk. Like, she was always thirsty, which is a sign of diabetes. You're so thirsty because your sugar is so high, it makes you really thirsty. And when we got to the emergency room, they just had this team of doctors and nurses come in. They checked her blood, and they saw all her symptoms, and they just kind of knew right away she was in DKA. Wow. Which is diabetic ketoacidosis. And that basically means that when your sugar is so high, your body starts creating ketone, and it starts to destroy your organs slowly. Wow. So by the time they got her into ICU, they were starting to give her a slow drip insulin. She was not eating, she wasn't drinking, so she's dehydrated. Her blood sugar is well over 600. And there's no telling how long she was over there, because her A1C was like 14. And usually at that time, had we not got her to the emergency room, she would have passed away. Wow. And it was just something that the Lord laid on my wife's heart. I knew something was wrong, but it just took her to say it, like, get us up on the bottom there. But she spent about 8 days in the hospital, and it was a total reset. She had to learn how to speak. She had to learn how to walk, drink, eat, everything. So it's like her growth curve got reset. Wow. So she's slowly learning back over again for the last 3 years. It's been like a total rehabilitation. And so she still does a lot of nonverbal things. Comprehension is still not there per se, which is why we got her in speech. But because of that, she's still able to articulate. She can count to 100 by 10. She can count to 50 by 5. She can say an alphabet. She knows her phonemes, her phonemics, her phonics. She knows how to read. She has good over 75 words in vocabulary. And the reason for speech is because it's the comprehension, receptive, and expressive language. Gotcha. Because when you're that deep in DKA, it just does something, and her body's still trying to reset itself. But once she gets on track, she'll be good to go. But mommy and I are pros at this thing. We've kept her alive. She's 4, going on 5, be 5 soon. So I just thank God for just the resources.
And full of life.
the wonderful church family we had. You all have been so supportive. You all have been very, very just resourceful in everything that we need. We need guidance, prayer, just support. You all are there. We love you all to death. Y'all are a very big part of her village. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey. She's an amazing little girl. She's, one wins everyone's heart that has an opportunity to meet her. And she's just so funny. And so very, very active. As a diabetic, she is just as active and as athletic as they come. So I know that's part of that, but yeah, I mean, any parent who has a child, I don't care if it's sickle cell, I don't care what it is, those are all, whether it's debilitating or not. Just know that there is help. We found Facebook groups, we found resources at the ICU, the doctors, her endocrinologist, her pediatrician have given us, a speech therapist. There's help out there. You can Google it. You can contact my wife and I, especially if they're a diabetic. We're willing to help. And yeah, I mean, don't feel like you can do it. You have to do it alone.
Right.
You pray, be
How
strong.
did that, because situations like that tend to have one of two effects, particularly on couples. It can have a very drastic negative effect and create some negativity or even some division,
Right.
separation, or it has a tendency to bring you closer together, which it's clear that's what happened in you and Kim's case. And so, because it's not like you just went through it, you're still going through it and you're really teaching her and you have to really cater to her and in specific ways. What did that do for you as a father? I suppose what I'm really asking is, what did going through that with your baby girl, with your oldest daughter, what did that teach you? What did that process of going through that in the emergency room and figuring out medicines and how to treat her and all of that, what did that do for you? Did it teach you anything? Did you learn anything out of that situation?
I feel like you never really know what you're made of until you're challenged. I mean, it could be your faith, it could be your marriage, it could be your love, it could be whatever you deem highest or priority, whatever you pride yourself on, being a man, being masculine, provider, whatever. Until you're challenged, you never really know what kind of provider, what kind of priest, what kind of parent, father, mother that you are. So my wife and I really had to be this cohesive team, always on the same page, because you overdose, underdose, give the wrong thing or whatever is life threatening for her.
Right.
So it really drove the point home, like, okay, now we really need to communicate. We really needed to have each other's back. We really needed to have that equal support. When she's sleepy, I take over, and some couples aren't able to do that. Some of it don't have that sense of sacrifice or that partnership or the camaraderie. But when you have another life in your hands, and it's kind of like a do or die situation,
right?
You really have to dig deep and really have to put yourself aside and think about what you have to do from here on out to help your daughter or your son get through this and be healthy and have a long life without, sacrificing yourself. Because some parents do have the same situation we have, whether it's the same condition now, and end up losing themselves, and they end up breaking down physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, what have you, because they've committed themselves so much into that child or to that condition, where you really have to find a balance.
Right.
And that's another point that I also need to make, that it is very important to find balance, because if you're not well, how can you keep that child well?
Right.
And
that's
you
good,
really,
that's good.
You really have to strengthen your spirituality and your relationship with God as well. Because even when you don't have the strength, all the strength that you need is with God. At so many nights I prayed, tired, sleepy, worried, just anxious, and it was totally out left field. We had to stop everything we're doing and
Right.
reconfigure how life is going to look now that we have to have this life-threatening condition in our daughter, and it's not going anywhere. So we had to kind of take it head on and be fearless and say, you know what, God, you gave it to us for a reason. Obviously, you knew we were ready. You knew we could handle it. And you knew that at this time, our daughter was going to be able to withstand it as well. So we can't doubt ourselves when you haven't doubted us yourself.
Right.
So you gave it to us, obviously we can handle it. And we just kind of just did what we could until we got better at it. And now it's just kind of like breathing. It's very smooth and very easy.
Yeah. Yeah. You get into your routines and you just know how to adapt and how it's smooth sailing, man. That's beautiful, man. And I appreciate something that you just said. And shout out to those parents also who might be raising children with different kind of health disparities, man. You know, it's a much of an appreciation because it certainly teaches you selflessness. It teaches you, I mean, really having children, period, teaches you how to be unselfish, because your children want everything that you have. They want to eat the French fry right out of your mouth, right? You know what I'm saying? So it already teaches you how to be unselfish, but even going through that process of caring for a child with health issues that you didn't know what it was originally, and then you were able to discover it. I just think that that's so powerful because it really teaches you how to put yourself to the side and really kind of fully immerse into the life of your child. So shout out to you, Rashad, man, and you and Kim and all of the parents who are raising children with different kinds of health challenges, man. You know, we're praying for you. And yeah, you're right. There are support communities. Now, let me ask you this, because you just said something that I think most married couples miss. Okay. Now, if you are in just like a relationship or whatever, that's one thing. But when you're married, that's a covenant, and it's a covenant you make with God and before God. And my thing is, Rashad, most married couples don't realize and understand that you have to prioritize your marriage actually before you prioritize the parenting, because the marriage, and a lot of times statistically, married couples get divorced. Number one reason is infidelity. Number two is money. Number three is children, right? Couples actually separate as children get older and life takes over and you have to run the kids around and stuff. You start seeing relationships kind of go distant and go different ways, maybe even different philosophies about parenting, right? And so, you know, children are actually one of the top three reasons why married couples get divorced. And what they don't realize is that God brought y'all together first. Before he brought the child into the world. And so you have to actually prioritize that marriage so that you can be the best parents and the best partners that you can be to your children. And so I want to ask you, how do you and Kim go about prioritizing y'all's relationship, even in the midst of raising two little girls?
It's honestly, I can't speak for other couples, but I can tell you what worked for us. Before we even got into a relationship, Kim was absolutely 100% transparent with me. And I was the same thing back to her, because I didn't want to start anything or build anything on lies, misperceptions, miscommunications, or anything. And that spurred into a beautiful, strong, entertaining, colorful relationship where we didn't really have to hide anything. We didn't have to put on a front. I didn't have to, bow down to her feet. She didn't have to bow down. We were just upfront, and we just kind of everything was totally real. And I really think that another reason why marriages don't last because they are built on monuments of nothingness. They didn't establish that foundation first. So when they got married, or when the marriage was complete and over and done, and the glitz and glamour and the high is gone, now you're almost like you're experiencing life with a stranger. Wow. Because that foundation had holes or cracks or leaks in it, and it wasn't fortified prior to our marriage. Whereas Kim and I, and other marriages out there, whether we know about them or not, right. Just kind of spent time getting to know each other, forming that bond. It wasn't based on anything physical. It was all social, emotional, physical, and mental. And all that fortified and meshed together is going to lead to whatever else you want to lead to. Engagement and marriage. And then with our children, like I said, we both agreed upon 2 kids cap. That's it. Whether it was a boy and girl, 2 boys, 2 girls, doesn't matter. Whatever the Lord allowed us to have, that's what we were supposed to have, and we were gonna run it just like that. And even during the pandemic, it taught us really to find balance, because like I said, you have parents who find more joy in caring for their children than their own spouse. And that wasn't me. From the get-go, I was all about my wife. I went against, sometimes I bumped heads with my parents. Sometimes I went against my parents, friends, or whoever was in my way, because I knew that this woman was the one for me, and I really didn't care who stepped out of my life, came into my life. I was tunnel vision. Wow. Sometimes my wife had to kind of like, like, you don't have to be so stern. Like, I understand, I know you love me, but
you was real about it, Doc.
All the time. And she's like that about me as well, but I'm a little bit more strict, more stern with it. But I'm like that with my daughters as well. Yeah. But always in my head, it's wife and then kids. Right. And heaven forbid if anything ever happened to them, my wife and I are still going to be there. And if, we wanted to pursue and make more children, we could. And I just pray to God we stay together. I pray to God that all my children, we can raise them together. But at the end of the day, it's always in a marriage, it's always got to be that covenant first. Yes. And children, because that's your immediate family. Family and friends after that. That's how it should be. And if you keep that first and find that balance and honor that and respect that, and you do that for each other, there's no way anything on this earth can break that. I don't see how it didn't break for me.
That's real. I appreciate that, man. Listen, let's touch on it, man. This conversation is so good, man. Let's touch on just a few more things real quick, Rashad. I appreciate you establishing that and us talking about that, because I don't think it's really talked about enough amongst married couples, the way that you have to prioritize that marriage. Now, I want to talk to you about just a couple of the things real quick, because you're raising young African-American women in America. And we know what the current climate of America is and what we've been dealing with. And we know the kind of conversations that African-American parents have to have with their children that are different than conversations than our white counterparts and even some of our other minoritized groups have to have, just because of the kind of microscope and the kind of history that this country has had with Black people. And so my question to you is, could you give advice to another young father out there? I became a father very young. I consider you a young father. I became a father very young. I was still a teenager when I became a father. But there are a lot of young fathers. I'm mentoring a young man right now who just had a son, and he's 20 years old, and he's trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And so, could you give any advice to a young father out there who's trying to make their way? They're trying to do the right thing, but it's hard. You know what I mean? It's hard out here, and it's not easy, particularly being a Black man in America. And so, is there any advice that you can give a young father? And also, in giving that advice, what kind of conversations, and I know your baby girls are still young, but what kind of conversations are you anticipating having with them that some fathers might want to consider having as well, particularly Black fathers?
I was being a father has always been a goal, not even a goal, just a dream of
Wow.
my father. And I'm gonna tell you what, my father and my mother, they got divorced when I was 2, maybe
Gotcha.
3.
Wow.
And the typical story is father's gone, whether he did whatever he wanted to do, was in the streets, or maybe we just started another family. And usually the children never really see them, because of whatever happened with their parents. And sometimes parents can't emotionally separate, so they just stay away totally.
You're right.
But my dad, I can remember to this day my daycare graduation. My dad is from New Jersey. At the time, he was living in Athens, but he came down and he was at my daycare graduation.
Wow.
Third grade graduation from primary to elementary school, he was there. At this time, he's from New Jersey. So I have family in Baltimore, Philadelphia, all of them.
Got you. Okay.
He drove in a car, not a plane, bus, or train. He drove down for my third grade graduation, fifth grade, middle school, high school, basketball games, football games, baseball games. I don't care if it was a little league t-ball game at age 6. If it's a weekend and he didn't have to work, he drove 13, 14 hours down, stayed for a weekend, drove right back just so he could be there for my brother and I to see him, just to be in our lives. And to this day, he calls me, if not every weekend, every other weekend. Still gets mad when I don't reach out to him. And I will always value that, because that taught me on how important fatherhood is, or the presence of father being in a child's life. I mean, I love my dad to death. Like, you can't say nothing about him.
That's what's up.
And he didn't have to be there to raise me, but I still know what a father figure looks like. I know what that love feels like. I know what that support system looks like. I know what a strong father figure looks like. And he has raised 2 kids of his own and still made us, thousands of miles away, feel like we were the only children he had. Wow. So hats off to my dad. And I told the Lord,
applause for Pops, man. That's what's up, man. That's how you do it.
I told the Lord, if it is his will and he allows me to have children, I promise him that I will be the best father I could be. I told him, if he blessed me with a wife, and be the best husband I can be. And I'm so deeply rooted in my connection with God. Like, I wanted to be that pastor priest for my household. Like, I'm a very praying man. My wife is the verbal side, I'm the praying side, so we balance each other out anyway. So I feel protected all the time, because I take God everywhere with me, no matter where I go. So as a young father out there, like, especially whether you saw your child born or not, just be as involved as you can. Don't hold it against the child if you and the mother are not on good terms. It's not about that. It's about making sure that the life that you help make has a healthy and productive life, and just do the best you can. I mean, life is hard. Some of us don't have degrees, we don't have jobs, but you just do the best you can to provide for that child, let that child know that you love them, and they know who their father is and what a father figure is supposed to look like. Because all father figures aren't look the same. But I mean, if you're going to give that child love, that's what's most important. It's not about the money. It's not about having your child go to school with J's. It's all about the support system. It's all about the love, the care. It's all about that.
That's it. That's real talk, man. And I totally agree with you 100%. And I appreciate you sharing that, because that's one of the questions that I wanted to touch, was your relationship with your father. And it's just really glad to hear. It's good to hear that, even though he wasn't even in state he made himself present. I mean, he was by any means necessary. He was going to make sure that he was active in y'all's lives. And y'all have that close bond to this day. And so watching that is amazing. You know, my father's father wasn't in his life at all. But my father, you know, he vowed that if he would ever be a father, that he doesn't want his children to feel what he felt when he was growing up. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate the fathers that go above and beyond, because every situation is not perfect and everybody doesn't stay together, but that's not the children's fault. And the children should be penalized for that, man. So I appreciate you sharing that, Rashad. And you're absolutely right, man. You just do everything you can. Do your best. And if you do your best, God will do the rest. Now, I got to let you go, Shad, man. I got to bring you back because I really want to talk some fitness stuff with you when I bring you back. But listen, because you're not just a fitness enthusiast, you're a fitness guru. You are a certified trainer. You have clients that you train. You work part-time at a gym. And so if you could, and if you would, in this last question, tell me why it's important for fathers to be fit. You know, oftentimes, oftentimes when we have children, when we settle down, right? When we settle down, we have children, we get married, you know, that daddy gut, that gut start popping out, and you know, you're not really hitting the gym as much, and you know, you're ripping, running with the kids and with the wife, you're working. Why is it important for fathers to stay fit? Not only why is it important, but how can they? You know what I mean? With a lot of the scheduling and different things going on and working, you know, how can fathers look for a way to stay fit? And why is it important for them to stay fit from the viewpoint of a professional trainer and nutritionist?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's a very excellent question. I see it all the time. Honestly, it has to be an intrinsic and extrinsic goal. For example, you intrinsically you have to just have that self-respect and that self-esteem to look in the mirror and like, you know what, this is not what's up. This is not cute. And it's not
my best. It's not my best self.
No, not at all. I mean, you shouldn't like the way you look when you put your clothes on and you stepping out with your family, especially if your wife, fiance, girlfriend, whoever looks good and you kind of got the chest that's sagging and it's coming over your belt. It should make you feel some kind of way. And a lot of times there's a lot of literature out there that tells us that when you have more chest and belly fat, that's going to lead to a higher chance of getting heart disease, type 1, type 2 diabetes, all that, high cholesterol, hypertension. It's true, and it's going to hit you eventually, no matter what color, ethnicity, predominantly in blacks, you know, and African Americans, I'm sorry, because of our culture and how we behave and psychologically how we grew up, and it's hard to battle against that. And that's a barrier, and a lot of our brothers and sisters don't understand that until it's too late. So, me personally, I gained at least 40 pounds when I got married, and it's because I took my concentration off myself and put it on my wife, and then put it on my child. Even though my wife is like, Rashad, you used to be active, you used to work out a lot. And you just kind of slow down since you've been together. I don't want you to, you know, because my wife has a high metabolism and she just, you know, she's cute and petite all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
you're always sharp, Doc.
but even with that, you know, she asked me for fitness tips and stuff like that, and I got her together. So how can I get other people together but can't get myself together? And this is me talking as a trainer.
Wow.
So I was like, I can't market myself. I can't be the best self for my daughters when I'm trying to run around in the yard for them, and I'm winded, I'm sweating, chest hurt. I never felt this before. So what's going on? Gaining weight, becoming more unhealthy. You're dehydrated. Blood pressure's up. Eating salty foods and processed food. All that stuff catches up with you, especially when you're married. Especially when you take your focus off yourself.
Right.
And next thing you know, you look up. you're 30, 40, 50 pounds heavier, and you end up getting this unsavory message from your doctor saying you need to do something or something else is going to take over.
Facts.
So not saying that was the case for me, but me, I didn't like the way I looked, one, and two, some of the biological parameters that the doctors give you in your lab results are unfavorable. So like, okay, as a personal trainer, my cholesterol is elevated. Okay, I need to do something about that. It's all about dietary.
Indeed.
So that has to be intrinsic, and then extrinsic. You don't like the way you look, but you also have to have a certain level of self-esteem, self-respect for yourself, that this is the body that God gave you, and you're misusing it, or you're wasting it, or you're mistreating it, and that maltreatment is going to have a result that's not going to be favorable for you. And I just like, you know what? Let me find a balance. Let me find a way I can play with my kids, train my clients, keep my wife happy, and bring myself back up to par. And I just started doing what I used to do. And it's okay to be myself in a marriage. And my wife had to show me that. She had to show me, like, Rashad, I love you too, but you were focusing too much on me and you're letting yourself go. Right. That's a real friend.
That's good.
Friendship. That foundation is there, and I respected that. So I'm like, okay. So I started just doing home exercises. I started doing as many push-ups as I can do, and whatever number I stopped on, I beat that number every day. I did that with squats, and I did that with sit-ups. So now you're doing midsection, upper body, and lower body, and your heart rate fluctuates when you do that. So you're actually conditioning your heart as well. You don't have to get up and run a mile in the cold or in the blistering heat. You can do things right there at home, body-wise, because you're using gravity as resistance to challenge yourself. And once you get into the mode or build that discipline and that consistency, then you can look into going into classes, getting a bike, increasing your NEAT, NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, like folding clothes, cutting grass, whatever like that, and just do things around the house, and that will eventually, evolve into going to the gym, getting a membership, or just going outside doing some things. So yeah, it's very important to keep yourself healthy. Otherwise, the example you set for your children won't be healthy.
Right.
And two, you won't be healthy enough to keep up with them. So that should be enough psychologically to push yourself like, okay, I need to do something about this before I won't be here as long as I want to be. So
agreed, man. Agreed, 100%, bro. Agreed, man. I want to see my daughter graduate. I want to see her get married. I want to walk her down that aisle. I ain't trying to be on no cane. As a matter of fact, when I walk my daughter down that aisle, I want them like, oh, man, daddy looking kind of good over there. You know what I'm saying? Healthy. You know what I'm saying? It's important, man. It's important to set that example for your children that, eating healthy, you're going to let your children live. You know what I'm saying? You're going to let your children eat it, get a happy meal and stuff like that, but, setting that, showing your children discipline, from an early age is really important. Showing them just discipline and consistency. I saw my daddy wake up every morning. He got up early. He did a little light workout, and then he went to work. That discipline that I saw him help resonate something with me years later. You know what I'm saying? Even if I didn't think about it at the time, years later, I remember that to this day. And setting those examples and setting that kind of discipline and showing your children, number one, why it's important to work out, why it's important to be healthy. But then secondly, you said it so perfectly, I don't want to exhaust it. I want to be around, man. I want to hold my grandchildren and all that good stuff. And I want to meet her spouse one day and, and all of that good stuff, man. So I think you're spot on, Rashad, like you always normally are, my beloved brother. And I just appreciate you for this conversation, man, because fatherhood is so important, man. And like I said earlier, I think that we concentrate so much on the negative narratives in society and in the media. The media will easily push the negative narratives, but we don't talk about the positive narratives enough. And one of those narratives are there's still a demand on fatherhood. There's still brothers that love being fathers and take joy and pride in being a father. And you indeed, myself included, amen, but you indeed are one of them, my beloved brother. And I just want to say this publicly, because I tell you privately all the time that you, Kim, your family are one of my favorite couples. I love seeing y'all come to church. I love the way that you all handle each other. I got a chance to see y'all on a date night just a few weeks ago. We were at a spot visiting, supporting our musician. And I was like, man, they living it, man. They doing it, man. I just love the energy. And I just love the way that y'all handle each other as husband and wife. But I love the way you pastor your home. And I just want to continue to, I just want to tell you, man, keep up the good work, man, because you're inspiring people that you may not even know you're inspiring, bro.
I appreciate that. I can honestly say you have been a blessing since you came to our church to take over as our lead pastor, because I mimic my prayers after you. After you say the Lord's Prayer, you get to our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And then I go into what I'm thankful for, what I need the Lord to do, and so on and so forth. And my daughter, believe it or not, is pretty much has half of the Lord's Prayer down.
Wow!
And this is right at 4, and at 4 that's in speech. So that's just how powerful her praise and worship is, because she trips her class and her teachers out of daycare because it's a Christian daycare. Right. And whenever they go to praise and worship, and it's kind of like a mixed crowd of white, African American, and different cultures there, and she is jumping and praising, she is clapping, and all the other kids are just around like, what has gotten into her? She has the Lord in her. That's what it is.
All right.
She gets it from us, and you are. We try to emulate that by looking at you, and you give it to us, and it's like, man, you're amazing, and I just appreciate that. You're
love you, bro. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the kind words, man. And we're connected, man. We're connected to the hip, bro. You already know that, man. Listen, man, tell the people where they can find you, where they can follow you, how they can get in touch.
Well, you can find me on Facebook, my first and last name. All my contact information is on there. I don't really do Instagram, but I am Coach A at MLK, which is where I teach 9 years special ed, bachelor's in PE, personal trainer. So yeah, I'm wherever you can find me.
Yeah, Rashad Abad. Also, Rashad, we're going to put all the information up right here, but also rashadabad at gmail.com. Listen, the brother will give you fitness plans, meal plans, whatever you need. He'll cater workouts directly for what you're looking to do. We already in the summer, but if you want a summer body by August, he can make it happen.
Year round.
Yeah, he makes it happen, man. He makes it happen. And so, Rashad Abad, everybody, let's give it up for him, man. Thank you, my beloved brother, so much, man, for taking the time out to really help educate, drop some science, man, on some of these young brothers out here. Happy Father's Day to all of our fathers. Fatherhood is a joy. What a joy it is to be able to be a father, to pour into your children's lives, to see them grow, to be a part of that process. And it's just a joy. And we should see it that way. So shout out to all of my great fathers out there who are holding it down, who are doing the daggone thing. We love y'all, man. Happy Father's Day to everybody this Sunday. Spend your family's money this Sunday, okay? Make your wife get you the meal that you want. If you're cutting carbs, don't get the baked potato, just get the steak and get some asparagus. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy yourself, man. Rashad, I hope you and the family enjoy yourselves. This is the boy at JC Howard Speaks, Dr. JC Howard, voice of the culture TV. Shout out to Hope Nation TV and Hope Nation. We love each and every one of you, and we're going to be right back here, same time, same place on next week, man. Holla at your boy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.